If you've ever lived in a neighborhood with a strict HOA, then you already know the type of person Keran is. She's the kind who believes that being on the HOA board gives her superhero-level authority. Except instead of fighting crime, she fights decorative mailboxes and lawn gnomes. Unfortunately for me, she also seemed to think she had the right to inspect everyone's front porch, including my packages. It all started with small things. A bubble mailer missing here and there, a box from an online store arriving opened by accident. At first, I thought the delivery service was messing up. Mistakes happen, right? But then it kept happening. Always when I wasn't home. Always when Keran had conveniently been patrolling the neighborhood. One afternoon, I overheard her talking loudly to another neighbor about suspicious deliveries and unauthorized items being brought into the community. That's when the light bulb went off. She wasn't just being nosy. She was actually taking my stuff and pretending she was doing the neighborhood a favor. So I installed a doorbell camera, not to catch anyone, just to reassure myself. But the next time I ordered something, the footage shocked me. There she was, in her signature visor and bright pink workout outfit, briskly walking up to my porch as if she were collecting a lost puppy. She glanced around, snatched the box from under my welcome mat, and strutted off like she owned the place. I felt a mix of disbelief and boiling frustration. Who did she think she was? I didn't want to jump to confrontation. In communities like ours, confronting Keran directly is basically issuing a challenge in her imaginary battlefield. She'd twist the narrative, call an emergency HOA meeting, and somehow I'd end up being accused of violating 7 bylaws I'd never even heard of. So instead, I started documenting every delivery, every disappearance, every conveniently timed walk Keran took past my house. Still, the packages kept vanishing, and Keran's boldness kept growing. She even left me a passive-aggressive note that said, "Residents must keep porch areas tidy. Excessive deliveries are unsightly." My porch had one small pot of succulents and a mat that said, "Hello." Hardly a chaotic zone. By this point, I knew she wasn't acting as some self-appointed neighborhood guardian. She was stealing, plain and simple, and she clearly thought she could get away with it forever. But that's when I decided I wasn't going to let her keep treating my porch like her personal shopping cart. If Keran wanted to keep snooping around my deliveries, then I was going to give her something to find. Something she'd never forget. Something that would make her think twice before targeting anyone's packages again. And with that thought, the plan for my trap began to form. Once I confirmed Keran was the porch pirate behind my disappearing packages, I knew I couldn't just leave things as they were. Reporting her to the HOA wouldn't help. They were practically her fan club. Going to the police felt too extreme without undeniable evidence. What I needed wasn't just proof. I needed a moment that would make her rethink her entire career as the neighborhood package inspector. So the trap-building phase began. First, I made a fake package, a convincing one. I reused an old medium-sized shipping box, neatly taped it shut, and added a printed label addressed to me. On the outside, nothing looked off, exactly the sort of thing Keran usually couldn't resist confiscating. But inside, that's where the magic would happen. The goal wasn't to hurt her, just give her a shock she wouldn't forget. Something messy, harmless, and embarrassing. After scrolling through a few harmless prank ideas, I finally landed on a classic but effective setup. A spring-loaded glitter burst. Nothing dangerous, just the kind of thing that coats a person in sparkles for days no matter how much they try to wash it off. And honestly, glitter felt perfect for Keran. Sparkly, loud, and impossible to hide. I spent an entire evening crafting the interior contraption. A gentle spring, a packet of extra fine glitter, and a simple trigger mechanism made of folded cardboard. When the lid lifted even an inch, poof, instant explosion of shimmering chaos. The kind that clings to everything. Clothes, hair, eyebrows, maybe even dignity. Once the package trap was ready, the next phase kicked in. Timing. I checked the delivery schedule and made sure I'd be gone during the window when packages usually arrived. Really, I'd be watching from inside with my phone connected to the camera feed, ready to witness Karen's inevitable crime of opportunity. To sell the illusion, I left my porch completely empty and overly tidy the morning of the setup. Keran loved to comment about curb appeal, and I figured she wouldn't be able to resist something new showing up on such a pristine porch. The evening before the planned drop, I even caught her outside power walking past my house, giving my front door that nosy side eye. She was looking for something, hoping for something. She had no idea she'd get more than she bargained for. Finally, delivery day arrived. I placed the decoy box gently on the porch around the same time packages usually showed up, then slipped quietly inside. My heart beat with a mix of anticipation and nervous amusement as I opened the camera stream. Would she take the bait? Would the glitter trap go off exactly as planned? I didn't have to wait long. From the moment I set the decoy box outside, I kept my phone in hand like I was waiting for a message from the universe. The camera feed showed my porch glowing in the afternoon sun, the fake package sitting there so innocently it almost made me laugh. If Keran had a sixth sense for neighborhood violations, this would trigger it for sure. 5 minutes passed. 10, 15. Just when I started worrying she might, for the first time ever, mind her own business, the motion alert chimed. I tapped it instantly, and there she was, Keran in full HOA patrol mode. Today she wore a visor, oversized sunglasses, and a bright lavender windbreaker. Her expression was the same one she used whenever she left me notes about approved garden aesthetics. She paused at the edge of my walkway, glancing up and down the street like a cartoon villain, making sure no one was watching. Little did she know I was watching closer than ever. Then she approached the porch with practiced confidence. You could tell she'd done this before. Step, glance, grab. She bent down, tapped the box with her knuckle like she was inspecting it, and then, exactly as expected, she lifted the lid. It was instant. A shimmering burst of glitter erupted upward like a sparkly volcano, coating her face, hair, windbreaker, and even her sunglasses. She let out a startled gasp and stumbled backward, waving her hands like she'd walked into a swarm of butterflies. Glitter floated down in a sparkling cloud around her, clinging to every surface. The camera mic even picked up her sputtering, "What on earth? Why? This community has no standards anymore!" She brushed at her jacket, but that only made the glitter spread even more, sticking to her sleeves, her visor, and her perfectly styled hair. She looked like a walking craft project explosion. And then she did something I absolutely did not expect. She picked up the box, realized it was completely harmless, and stared at it in offended disbelief, as if the package itself had personally insulted her. She huffed, spun around, and marched off the porch, leaving a trail of sparkles behind her like a grumpy, lavender-colored fairy. Even the sidewalk caught some of the fallout. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not meanly, just out of pure shock and relief. The trap had worked perfectly. She wasn't hurt, nothing dangerous had happened, and now I had undeniable, glitter-covered proof of her porch piracy. But the story didn't end there, because the next morning the HOA sent out a community-wide email written by Keran, and it was clear she was furious. The morning after the glitter explosion incident, my inbox pinged with an email from the HOA. The subject line read, in bold letters, "Urgent community safety issue." That alone was enough to make me roll my eyes. I clicked it open, already expecting some dramatic overreaction, and sure enough, it was from Keran. The email opened with a lengthy paragraph about dangerous pranks and inappropriate package modifications. Apparently, someone in the community had set a glitter-based booby trap that had caused her, in her words, significant distress and disruption to HOA duties. She never mentioned stealing, of course. According to her version, she had simply been inspecting a suspicious parcel. I almost laughed. Glitter wasn't dangerous. The only disruption. Enjoying this wild HOA Keran saga? Stick around for more neighborhood drama and clever comebacks. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. If this glittery revenge made you laugh, tap like, and drop a comment below. What would you have done if Keran kept stealing your packages?